All right, everybody, welcome back to Coastal Living Quarantine Edition. As you can see, I am in my little makeup art room / closet, and I am joined with Dr. Dhaval of the Coffee Barrel and Uncommon Table out in Beeville, which is still open for business. Welcome, Dr. Dhaval. Thanks for joining me.
Hey, thank you, Clarissa, for having me. And I hope everybody there is safe and healthy and secure and doing well in this current crisis.
Absolutely. Well, we're all doing our very best, and it really does come down to each individual doing their part so that we can have, the greater good, which will at some point be an end game to this virus. But until then, give us some of the science from your perspective as a doctor on why we are asked to stay at home.
Okay, first of all, I'm a doctor of public health, and I've been working for the last 25 years based on experience and based on training all over the world in terms of infectious diseases and how they spread. So we are asked to socially isolate and socially be distant and socially stay at home for one real big reason, which is this virus spreads by human contact. Mm-hmm. And so if you are not going to interact with other people, then the potential to spread it from one person to another diminishes drastically. So there's evidence and studies out there that talk about what sort of meter or what sort of 2 meters or 3 meters, I should say, I guess feet in the United States, right? What sort of distance that should be. And so if you stay at home, you just drastically reduce the potential of infecting others, particularly if you've already been out there interacting with other people and then coming home and bringing it. So from a community perspective, you don't want to be spreading it from one person to another person through all these interactions. And a lot of the stuff that we're doing is potentially doing that. So stay at home, just like all the health authorities are telling you to do, so you can stop the spread. And it's vitally, critically important to do that. And that's why we're seeing lots of localities and cities and states and even national mandates about why we should quarantine and why we should stay at home. And it's your moral responsibility to not only think about yourself, but your community at large as well. Otherwise, this will not stop.
Absolutely. And that's wonderful advice. And I think it puts things in perspective for us, but it even goes beyond staying home because, of course, we have to make those essential trips, right, to the grocery store to run whatever, essential errands that we have to run. So you come home with bags and groceries and things like that that could possibly be infected, right? So
sure, contaminated.
How do we make sure that we're sanitizing things? How long does the virus live on different surfaces?
So there is evidence and studies out there about how long the virus stays on surfaces, depending on the type of surface it is, whether it's wood or clothes or metal, plastics or whatever. So depending on what you look at, it could stay up to a few hours, upwards up to 2 or 3 or 4 days. So sanitizing, cleaning surfaces, disinfecting with the right proper supplies is vitally critical. So for example, if you go to H-E-B and you come home with groceries, right? Do not keep those plastic bags, throw them away, right? Then it's probably a great idea to take a sanitizer, a disinfectant, wipes, whatever you have, and actually wipe all the stuff down before you start opening it up and actually putting it into your refrigerator and your cupboards. Another practice is before you actually even step into the house, if you've got a garage or even if you don't, you've got a little patio, take your shoes off. Before you walk in, make sure you've got a sanitizer or wipe to wipe down the doorknobs and before you go in and out and so forth, because you don't want to take stuff from the outside and then bring it into the house where you have been quarantining or self-isolating or whatever you want to call it at this point. So don't keep the bags from the grocery stores, throw them away. Because I know at our house, we usually keep the bags and we recycle them, right? Wipe down all of the stuff that you're bringing, all the groceries you're bringing in to the extent possible and then put it up. And I would even say when you pull it back out of the fridge, assuming that your fridge is clean, your cupboards are clean, and you've been disinfecting all that, that you should probably wipe down, your chicken packages again and your milk carton or whatever it is before you use it again, just to be safe. But it can stay up on surfaces for hours, if not 2 or 3 or 4 days, for sure.
Yeah, and at this point, you want to just assume that it is days for everything that you're touching and interacting with, because you just don't know.
Absolutely. That's a great advice. Yes.
At this point, if we're going to be paranoid about anything, it should be over cleaning stuff.
For sure. But having said that, Clarissa, right? This crisis shouldn't be the reason that we are doing that. We should be doing that regardless, right? Washing our hands and cleaning and disinfecting on a regular basis, because that's how germs and viruses and bacteria are spread, and that's how people get sick. So why are we suddenly heightened by it? We should be doing this as a norm anyway, to the extent that we are.
Exactly. And if anything, it's sort of a forced lesson for those people who have been stubborn about it. And hopefully it's a habit that remains afterwards and we can prevent any other viruses and diseases from getting around as well.
Sure, for sure.
So you sort of touched on what to do with the groceries and things that are being handled by many people. What about the essential employees, the doctors, the first responders, anybody else who's out there, especially the people that are working at HEB that are interacting with so many people daily? How can they help their loved ones? How can they prevent and keep their loved ones safe when they're returning home? How do we go about disinfecting ourselves before
Right.
we
And that's a really critical point, because let's say half of the family is home quarantined, and then one or two of the members have to work for whatever set of reasons under the essential guidelines. So for example, the Coffee Barrel and Common Table, they're still open. And I leave the house if I'm not doing other stuff, come to the Coffee Barrel, and then, you know, I'm at home. But what do I do as soon as I get home? First of all, I take off my shoes and put them in the garage. Don't walk in. As soon as I walk into the house, I will immediately wash my hands and sanitize that. Third, I will jump right into the shower and take a hot shower, soap, and make sure all that's cleaned up. The clothes that I've been wearing for the day, they immediately get washed. If you're able to do that, that'd be great. If you're not, because you need to let clothes pile up, then I would put them into a trash bag, put them in the garage or somewhere not in the house. And then when you've got 2 or 3 days worth of clothes, wash them in really hot water and sanitize them, bleach, whatever the case may be. The other thing that I would highly recommend, and we've been doing this every day, if not every other day, is to mop all your floors with hot water and chlorine. You don't need a lot, right? Or with Clorox, which has chlorine in it, or some sort of form of bleach, and then sweep and mop everything down every single day if possible. So here I am out in the community interacting with people. Those are the 4 or 5 things that I'm definitely doing. Some other things that we're doing at the house is kind of my wife telling me that I should only sit in one chair when we're in the living room, and that's the same chair that I sit in every single day. So it's the recliner if we're going to sit down and watch TV. Same thing at the dining table. Most families sit in the same chairs anyway if they're eating together, but she's like made sure that we only sit in the same chairs because our son is at home and doesn't want anyone to interact with him and so forth. So things like that, we're really limiting how much eye hug or kisses or sort of touching of that kind as well, because you just really don't know. So those are the 5 or 6 different things that I would recommend if you're an essential worker that has to be out there coming back home to your family who is been self-isolating and quarantining. You don't want them to be getting anything. So that's what I would suggest.
I'm over here taking notes because as I'm going to go stock up soon at the store, I'm like, okay, let's get more bleach and all of those things, because I think my house is cleaner than it's ever been, but there's still, it's one of those things you have to keep up with it. Just once a week, you can't get cut it anymore.
Right. You absolutely have to. I mean, like, for example, even the pen that you're using right now, Professor, right? I mean, who knows who's touched it before or when or why? I would just kind of wipe that down as well. And so little things.
I have 100
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, right. Little things.
Pens. Finally, an excuse to get rid of that pile of pens that you have.
There you go. Right. Exactly.
Well, Dr. Dhaval, I really appreciate your time. And I feel like there's so much more advice to offer the community. What else is there that we haven't touched on that you feel is pretty crucial to the times right now?
I would say, I mean, I don't know if it's a recommendation or it's advice or what, but just a statement that, one, we will get through this as a community. That the advice here is that we have to help each other out, right? So remind each other that there's no reason to go and see somebody, that we can do this through technology, give them a call, do FaceTime, whatever other technology you have. 2, if you know of the elderly or especially mothers that have young kids that really can't get out, but they really need you to go buy supplies, there's no reason why 5 people should go when 1 person could go, right? So put up signs or something that I need help to help out your neighbor. And that's in part what we're trying to do with the Coffee Barrel. For example, I know in lots of areas there's been a shortage of eggs. So we procured a large shipment that we went and got from Missouri, 3,000 eggs. And it's really just to help the community at our cost, at the same cost that we paid to get eggs out there, right? So there's no reason for multiple sets of people to be out there. And the last thing I'll say is that it is a moral responsibility for all of us, if you can, to stay at home, not be out there, and to isolate yourself for a period of time. Diseases like this spread because people are interacting with each other. So you can limit that, the better that we will be, and the sooner we'll get out of all this and be able to move forward in the future. But the lesson here really needs to be that we learn from this, and that, unfortunately, if something like this happens again, in the future that we're prepared for it and we're not doing what we're doing now. So stay at home. Stay at home if you can.
Stay home, guys.
Oh, right? Exactly.
And give your place a shout out. Coffee Barrel Uncommon Table open in Beeville. If you're in the area, you guys are offering healthy meals, coffee, of course. What else?
Just a place to come and talk to someone that you want to talk to the drive-thru.
Mhm.
People need a smile and need someone to chat with. Come to the drive-thru. We are socially distant through the drive-thru, and we'll help you out if you can. So come on down to Beeville and Coffee Barrel and Common Table and see us, and we'll take care of you.
Amazing. Well, thank you so much, Dr. Dhaval, for your time. And if you don't mind, I'll reach out to you again in a couple days to get some more questions answered, because I know that a lot of us are sort of uncertain or unsure about some things, and we love your professional opinion.
Great. Thank you, Clarissa and the team. I appreciate it, and keep doing what y'all are doing. Great stuff.
Absolutely. Thank you.